Hey, what's up? So it's been a while since my last video, and the reason I haven't uploaded was because I was a little bit sick and I wasn't really didn't really have the energy to make any videos or any updates. But while I was recovering, I did manage to continue going to the local I normally go to. Still wasn't able to top 4. I was getting really close. I went to 2. Both the last 2 locals I went to, I was basically like 1 or 2 misplay from making top 4 or top 8. So, I feel like I need a little bit more practice, especially in these actual playing situations. I just somehow choke, like sometimes I'm just like I'm about to win or I have a winning play, but then I like overthink or something. But yeah, no, so let's see. What did I even do? I do write notes on all my games just so I can sort of review them. The first local I went to that I haven't put up an update about is it actually had like 20 something players. So that was a lot. 23 players. Okay, that's quite a lot actually. And so we played 5 games, which was quite a drag actually. And I got, what is it? I got 11th place, going 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. And that 1 draw I should have won, but I misplayed, and then like we ran out of time. So that kind of sucked, but it is what it is. Um, and but like yeah, if I actually didn't win, if I didn't draw that one game, I actually would have made top 8 and gotten like I don't know, probably some packs or something. But it is what it is. So my first game in that tournament, I went up against Tank Terapgos, which based on my performance in Pokemon TCG Live, I do not do well against Tank Terapagos. I feel like it's just so tanky. And if I don't get that Drifloon with Bravery Charm set up, I just can't knock out anything. I made a few mistakes that game. I like near the end, I needed to Iono my opponent because they had a large hand, and we were very few prizes from like we were both very low on prizes. So if I did an Iono, that could have won me the game. Yeah, because I didn't Iono, it also led into a turn where they bossed up my Fez and then I lost. So, that one's on me. Definitely nothing crazy there. Man, Tank Terapgos, I got to figure out how to win that matchup. But, I didn't see a lot of people playing it. That was just like probably a one-off match. Um, my game 2, I actually had a rematch against the Slowking player I lost to a few weeks ago. And but this time they were playing Goldango and Zoroark. As soon as I saw the Zoroark, I was like, "Oh no, this is doomed." But then my opponent was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's not Zoroark." And then they placed the Gimmighoul, and I was like, "Oh, it's double doomed," because I feel like Gardevoir's matchup into the Goldango is not very favored. Um, but the thing is, I was able to get lucky that game with getting Brilliant Blender first, and I got a sort of a tempo lead. I think like somewhere in the mid game, I actually started messing up with my sequencing, but my opponent also messed up with their sequencing with the Cypher Maniac or with like some card thing, and they asked me if they could correct their mistake. This time I had to say no because I learned from my mistake last time for letting an opponent correct their mistake. Because usually, like when I make a misplay, I just accept that it's a misplay. But so I was just like, okay, you know what? From now on, if the opponent makes a misplay, like if it's like a really minor, maybe I'll let them correct it. But like if it's like something that could alter the game, I'll just say sorry, no miss, you can't correct that. I still made a lot of mistakes this game. I think there was one point where I forgot to take a prize, and then I realized that card that I could have taken as a prize could have helped me in the previous turn. So there's so many like small micro things that add up, I guess. But luckily for me, I actually did win out that game in the end. I think mostly due to the sort of strong early start and both of us making some mistakes in mid game. But I won out against a Goldango, which is kind of rare because usually Goldango destroys me pretty hard because they're just able to kill my Gardevoirs really easily. But it was a good game. In my game 3, this was the draw. I went up against a Charizard Terapagos player, and I had a really strong start. But I noticed that my opponent was playing really slow. I don't think they were doing it on purpose. I think they were just generally like to take their time. So because of that, we actually ended up to like a draw. and I was basically like up. I was like 2 prizes to 4. So if we just played like a few more rounds, I definitely would have won. But there was this one turn where I forgot, or like I attacked before I monkey doried, even though like in my head it's like, okay, I'm gonna monkey dory and then attack. But because I said that I will attack before I said I will Adrena Brain, the judge was a bit nearby and was like, oh yeah, you can't do that. So I basically griefed myself and caused the draw because I spoke too quickly. I should have just been like, okay, okay, think it through, Adrena Brain, and then attack. And then that would have won me the game. But because I didn't, we ran out of turns and then we both took a loss technically due to the draw. It was funny because actually on the last turn, there was actually one play I could have done to salvage that situation, but it required me to like realize that okay, if I push up a monkey dory and then retreat it, I can get that dark energy back via Night Stretcher and then do another Adrena Brain. This was actually one of the spectators that pointed this play out, and I was just like, there's no way I could have thought of that in that situation. I was like so stressed because I was like, oh, I forgot to Adrena Brain. And then yeah, yeah. But you know, if I was more calm, maybe I could have seen the bailout play. But you know, you got to take the loss or the tie. I made a mistake. Next time, that's a key thing. Remember to think before I say, or I will regret it. And then my fourth game, I went up against a melodic wall deck, and my opponent was really frustrated because they were hoping that they wouldn't go up against any Gardevoir players, and I think I was the only Gardevoir player in the whole like 20 something players. So it was a pretty unlucky matchup for them. And surprisingly, we almost went to a draw as well because I made like some stupid mistake putting 3 energies on a Mew, which got them stuck on the Mew, and I couldn't get it. Like it actually would have drawn out, but I was able to pull out my Turo at some point and get it back. So that was actually a close one. I should have won that like a lot earlier, but you know, that's something to think about for the next like wall matchup I end up facing. And then for my last game, I played up against a Terror Box, and oh man, this game was not good. I basically bricked for the first 3 rounds, and then on the fourth round, the Terror Box player pulled out the Wellspring, bossed up my Ralts, and then killed both my Ralts, and then it was over. And like I just lost because I didn't have any other basics, so I lost turn 4 after bricking for 3 rounds, and yeah, that was not an exciting game. But you know, because after bricking that hard, I realized I needed some way to salvage those situations where I don't brick. And to do so, what I did was I started looking for ways, and one thing was Cleffa. So one thing I noticed is some like decks online, they actually run Cleffa to prevent themselves from bricking that really hard. And I'm like, okay, that's probably a pretty good move. So I added it to my deck on TCG Live. It was okay, I guess. It saves me from a few things, but I realized I never actually pulled a Cleffa anywhere. And funny enough, I bought a Lily's Clefairy. I bought a Lily's Premium Tournament carton, and in like some time ago because I was like, oh, you know, it's the only thing I could find on the Pokemon Center that wasn't sold out, and it came with a special Lily's Clefairy sort of promo, which I technically could use in my decks, but I already bought a Clefairy, so this is just gonna sit around for display, I guess, unless I build a second deck and use the Clefairy. But interestingly enough, this carton comes with what is it? It comes with 6 packs, and exactly one of those packs is an Obsidian Flames pack, which you can actually pull Cleffa. And so when I was opening this, I actually pulled the Cleffa that I've been searching for because I was like, oh, now I have to go back to the store. I got to sift their bulk and find some Cleffas. And no, I just got the Cleffa. So that was great. Though I realized when I went to the store for the next week that there were like so many Cleffas in the bulk bins that there's no reason for me to like anticipate getting a Cleffa from this. Like if I think about it, I basically paid $40 for this box to get a Cleffa, because it's not like I'm going to use this Clefairy in my actual deck because I already have a Clefairy. So, you know, $40 for a Cleffa, is it worth? Well, Actually, in the next few games I played for the next local, so there was actually one game where I got bailed out because of Cleffa. So you could say it was useful. Only one game where I got bailed out when with Cleffa. So I guess that's $40 well spent on one game. I guess maybe. The local I just went to this weekend. It was also another 5 game local. Let me see how many players there were. So this time there were 19 players, and this one was actually considered a league challenge. So I think it's like every store can have one league challenge a month, and they actually give you points based on your standings, and you can use those points to go to certain events. So, but other than that, it was the same format as the regular local. And so for this one, I included a Cleffa, and I also included a and I included a Flutter main. I brought the Flutter main back. And I actually regret putting the Flutter main back because it actually griefed me for this one game because I thought I was trying to be cheeky and I played the Flutter main and I regretted it. So yeah, the reason I put a Flutter main is because I have trauma from playing against Iron Thorns, and Iron Thorns just shuts down my deck. So yeah, so we had 19 players. This one I was 10th place. Okay, which sounds bad, but I went 3-2. So I won 3, I lost 2, and turns out places from 4 to 11 were all 3-2. So like I think the reason I got bumped down in the tiebreakers is because one of my opponents actually dropped after they lost to me. So their win rate went down, and therefore it bumped myself in the tiebreakers down. So realistically, I could have gotten anywhere from 4th place to 11th place with my 3-2 standing. And honestly, this one was also pretty interesting. So game 1, I actually went up against a Gardevoir mirror, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be over. My opponent was playing the deck list that Henry Chow was playing with the Secret Box and the End Zoroark. And in that game, we almost tied, but I was doing like I had basically a tempo advantage in the early game, and because of that, I feel like my opponent was a good sport, and they kind of gave me an out to get out of the tie because they knew like I was ahead in prizes, I was gonna win anyway. So they put up a play that was a little questionable, um, and I was able to win. It was a fun match, and my opponent was a good sport, so respect to him. Game 2, I went up against a Dragapult player. Okay, my first Dragapult player at a local. Just and like I've been salivating trying to play against Dragapult because my deck is favored into Dragapult, and I'm assuming like since Dragapult is best deck in format, I should have like a good chance of running into some Dragapults, right? And this game was kind of silly because first of all, my Clefairy was prized, so like my key card to fight Dragapult, I still had Mew, but because Clefairy was prized, my options were a little bit more limited. There was this one play near the end where basically I could have killed his Dragapult with my Mew with genome hacking and killed a fully energized Dracloak on bench. And for some reason, I second guessed myself. I was like, oh, but if I do that, what if he rare candies his other Dreepy and that with EXP share and somehow takes out like a multi-prize turn with that? And I don't know why I second guessed myself, because if I just killed off his Dragapult and Dracloak, the chance of him coming back was pretty low. But because I second guessed myself, I pulled out my stupid Flutter main into the active and hit with that. And because of that, he was able to just upgrade his Dracloak through a top deck and then basically countercatcher me and then take out all the prizes he needed to win. And I was talking to my opponent, and he was just like, yeah, if you did that play, he would have lost. Or I would have won immediately because there was no way he was coming back. I guess I overestimated how many rare candies Dragapult players might run. So that was not a great play from me. So basically, the lesson learned from that Dragapult matchup is don't second guess yourself. Sometimes just go for the more obvious play. Yeah, that's a big thing I learned from that Dragapult game. I can't believe it. The only Dragapult matchup I had, like I should have won that. So that was pretty silly. In the next game, I was playing against Raging Bolt. This one, I had like a crazy, like so many of my key cards were prized. I had Fez prized, Clefairy prized, Mew prized. And even worse, I was forced to go first again. Uh, like basically the first two games I was forced to go first, and this game I was also forced to go first. And I'm just like, geez, this is over for me. I only had Ralts as a basic, so I put it in the front, and that was pretty much all I had. I only had Ralts, and when my opponent was going second, they brought out they were basically doing their squawkabilly, their other stuff. So my opponent went second, so they could actually attack, and I was just like, oh my god, if they bring out the Fan Rotom and donk me, I'm gonna be so like bewildered. Like I don't know. They could have donked me. I was like talking to them and I was like, please don't donk me. Please don't donk me. And my opponent was like, I'm gonna try to donk you. But you know what they did? They accidentally attached an energy onto one of their raging bolts. And because they did that, weren't able to attach it to their Fan Rotom and donk me with their stadium in play. So I was able to avoid getting turn 1 KO'd, or turn 2 KO'd in that case. And then because of that, I was able to use Cleffa, and like because my hand was basically a dead hand, right? I was able to nest ball for Cleffa, put it down, grasping draw, and then I was actually able to come back. Basically, I threw out Screamtail, it hit their Squawk, it hit their Mew, and then I just had to take out one Raging Bolt for the last two prizes. So I think this was the game that my opponent actually dropped because probably they were regretting not being able to, not like going for the donk turn 1. Maybe they got too excited because my hand was so bad. But yeah, no. So that was interesting. I guess like I think I played relatively well that game. Didn't really make any mistakes. Game 4, I played against a Hydreigon player. And interestingly enough, one of the previous locals I went to, I met a Hydreigon player, and I was talking about how I struggled with Hydreigon because of weakness, dark weakness to psychic, right? And then the Hydreigon player told me, oh, you should never lose against Hydreigon because all you have to do as Gardevoir is Screamtail and hit all the dinos on the bench. And then Hydreigon can never come back. So in this game, my opponent had a pretty I think they messed up their turn sequencing at the beginning. And because of that, they let me go second. And I was like, oh man, this is the first time I get to go second. And because I went second, I was able to pull out the classic Itchy Pollen Badoo. And because I guess like my opponent wasn't able to set up like very quickly, the Itchy Pollen just lasted for like 5 rounds, and I actually knocked out one of their dinos in the active because of that. Really unlucky for my opponent. After those 5 rounds, I basically set up the Screamtail, and I just kept on hitting the dinos on bench, just like the previous Hydreigon player had mentioned. And from that point on, it was a pretty convincing win. I felt pretty bad for my opponent because nobody likes being Itchy Pollen for 5 turns in a row. So, but you know, I think I played it well with the game plan that I had. So, yeah, that was pretty solid. My last game in this tournament was against a Raging Bolt. This was I actually lost this. So I lost this one. I think the issue was my blender was prized. And then because it was prized, I lost a lot of early game tempo. Like I had to throw out some like basics that just kept on getting knocked out. I was down in prize cards, and then I just couldn't get online fast enough. There was like a mid-game misplay that I made where I could have evolved like one of my Ralts into a Curlia, like with Night Stretcher, but I didn't because I thought I would get another Curlia, and I didn't price check correctly, and one of my Curlias were prized, so I needed to Night Stretcher that Curlia that died and put it on my Ralts basically to set up for the next turn. I didn't do that, and that actually cost me, I think, a full turn, and I think that was enough for me to like not be able to come back because the Raging Bolt player had just too many prizes. So yeah, no, so that there was a mistake there. Got a prize check more than just my Fez, my Clefairy, my Mew. Sometimes you got a price check for the Curlias as well because I only run 2. So yeah, price checking, very important. Another thing, maybe I should get rid of the Flutter Mane. I don't know. The Cleffa can stay. I feel like Cleffa has earned the spot in the deck. I'm still going to play around with Blender. Blender is just too fun, I think, especially if I can get that early blend. And I feel like it comes in clutch sometimes, especially in the late game. I also purchased a Clef Key, and I'm like, should I use Clef Key over Flutter Mane? but I think at least in this meta, Cleffa is not like super useful. There's not that many things you can shut down, so I'm not really running it. I might take out the Flutter main in favor of some other consistency card. And yeah. So that's basically the updates for those two locals I went to. I guess for both of the locals, they gave me two Journey Together packs as participation. Unfortunately, I did not get anything good from those Journey Together packs. I didn't even get any EXs. Like I wanted like maybe some End Zoroarks to build a Zoroark deck. I got nothing. So those were pretty big flops. I did scour the local game, the store for some other cards though. I grabbed some more Badoos. I have had some friends asking for Badoos that I can get them. I got another Blood Moon Ursaluna in case I make some other decks that use them. Got some Teal Mask Ogre Pawns. These were like $3 a piece, which is still a little below market. But honestly, I'm like, why did I even get these? Terra Box is not even that good. I don't know if I'm ever gonna play Raging Bolt, but you know, I just got them just so I don't have to use like the Japanese proxies in case I play with friends. So you know, it is what it is. I also purchased some other stuff. I got a Relicanth, slowly building up my Archaludon deck that I will never play because I only play Gardevoir. But you know, eventually I'll have enough people to play with on a casual level. So you know that'll come in clutch. I got an Iron Bundle. I think Iron Bundle's pretty useful. Got some Combustions to for my future Mamoswine deck. I got a Grand Tree, which is also good for Mamoswine, I think. I started picking up some more Blissies, especially after I saw those Blissey doing well in tournaments. I'm just like, that might be fun. Hydrapples. I got Hydrapples. These were like 50 cents a piece. Very nice. And then I also got the whole Hydreigon set. I actually didn't get these for myself. I got these for a friend. So, because I guess they want to play Hydreigon. Based on the gameplay I played against that one guy playing Hydreigon, I don't know if I ever want to play Hydreigon. Like, I think Hydreigon's really cool, especially with the Obsidian attack, but it just doesn't seem that consistent. I also grabbed a Miraidon. This was also on request of a friend. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the updates over the past 2 weeks. Went to 2 locals, pretty big events, 20 players, 5 rounds each, really a lot of games. And I got some pretty important learnings from them. So my overall learnings over the past 2 weeks is you should not tech too hard for a traumatic matchup with the Flutter main. Don't overthink yourself and don't speak too quickly, or else you'll regret it. So yeah, I think that's it for this update. I'll probably keep going to the locals for the next few weeks. I was able to sign up for NAIC, which is like the North American International Competition. That one's in New Orleans. So that's going to be my first like official big event. So super excited for that. And we'll see how that goes. I'll just be bringing my Gardevoir deck as usual, the only deck I play. And hopefully I can do okay. I do expect to be eliminated day 1, but you know, anything could happen, right? So this was another really long yap, but if you're still here, thanks for watching.